All right. Well, greetings and salutations to everybody out there in YouTube land. I'm your host once again, Dan Thornton. And I want to thank you all for tuning in this morning to Lions Talk Live. Hey, we're coming at you. We're coming at you and talking about, instead of the draft, we're talking about the playoffs. We're talking about playoff seeding. We're talking about why these final three games matter so much for the Detroit Lions. And I think we can all agree this is a real change of pace for Lions fans everywhere. Whether you're in Michigan, the United States, or across the world, Lions fans everywhere are talking about playoffs and not the draft, and what a brand new world this is. All right, before we get into all that though, if you haven't yet subscribed to Lions Talk Live, please consider doing so. I think we're about 70 subs away from 4,900. So if you could do your part to help out, that would be really great going into this holiday season. That'd be a real Christmas present for me. How about that? Also, if you're enjoying the content in the video, don't be afraid to hit that thumbs up button. Lastly, if you are considering in the upcoming year buying or selling property, whether it's a home, vacant land, commercial property, whatever it may be, real estate needs in the state of Michigan, give me a call, shoot me a text, 269-998-2384. Let me use over 30 years of service in the industry to help you out, save you some money, give you some good tips, information. All right, let's go ahead and get into the comment section because I suspect I'll be moving and shaking all morning long. I would say this. I know some of you are going to ask about this weekend's game. Rooting guide, I'll have all that out for you tomorrow. It is game day for me as a coach, so I'm going to probably keep this one a little bit shorter, maybe only to a 4-hour video, jokes. But anyways, yeah, I've got some coaching responsibilities, so I'll have to move and shake a little bit faster on this one. All right, with all that out of the way, let's go ahead and get into this thing. Boo, what do you got? Good morning, Duke Crew. Have you seen the CJ Gardner interview? I did see parts of it last night. Hey, this guy's going to add some energy to this team. I think we all kind of probably already knew that. Plus, as we've talked about since the news came out a week or so ago of his return, it's also going to add a lot of depth to our coverage schemes. We're going to have a lot more players to mess with as far as, people to put on the field and actually get solid results. I'm going to anticipate you're going to see the continued trend that you saw in the last 2 weeks out of the Detroit Lions defense, that you're going to see more blitzing, more man-to-man coverages. And yes, we're going to have to try to dial in some things to keep quarterbacks at bay from escaping the pocket. But someone like Gardner Johnson, to your point, Booth, he's a leader out there. He's someone who plays with his heart and his emotions, and I think that's really advantageous and contagious to this team. So I'm all for him being back out there, man. All right, Lions number one fan, what do you got? Greetings and salutations all. Who's ready for Sunday and the playoffs? Yeah, man. We've got something for each of these last three games to be paying attention to, because let's be honest with you, as long as we win Sunday, we've got the North. We've got a playoff spot. We may have a playoff spot locked up come tonight. But from there on after, we're going to be talking about, can the Lions get the number 2 seed? Is it possible to get the number 1 seed? Who are the best matchups for Detroit? As every week that goes by, we're going to be a little bit closer, and the playoff picture is going to get a little bit more clear over who the potential matchups are for us, with the locations, all these things. And man, instead of talking about are the Lions going to trade up, trade down in the draft, we're talking about playoffs. All right, Michael, what do you got? Greetings and salutations, Coach and Duke Crew. Can the Lions blow out the Vikings, or is it a close game? Your thoughts? I would say this: the vast majority of our games this year, victories, we have won by double digits. So if the trend is our friend, I'm inclined to believe that will continue. Now, that being said, the Vikings do present a lot of problems, as they do for most teams. It's not easy to score on them. They do have a legitimate defense. Is it the Baltimore Ravens of 2020 or the 85 Bears? No, but it can definitely give you some problems. Ben Johnson, this is what I'm saying out of these the games against the Vikings. I want to see how much he's grown up as a coach this year. Can he scheme some things up that maybe he struggled with in the last month? Obviously, the Denver game was a big breakout game, not just for the team, but for both coordinators. And I will say this: we want to see that he's going to continue that trend, continue his growth, and also try to make sure that he continues to put the offense in the best foot forward going forward, I guess I should say. Any rate, I'm going to say this. I'm going to say that I think the Lions are going to win by 13 to 17 points. And a lot of that's just going to be because I think the aggression on defense will continue. We'll see what shakes out. Just got what he got. Good morning, Duke crew. Lions need this win Sunday and lock up the North ASB. Yeah. I would agree with that. Get this win, get that out of the way. So now your focus can go on to other things. I think it'd be the not ideal if we lost this game, then have to go into Dallas and then really set up a monumental showdown for the NFC North for the final game of the regular season. To me, you do with what you deal with what you have to as a coach. So whatever situation breaks down or in front of you, that's what you go with. But to your point, yeah, just go out and win this game Sunday. Susan, when you got coach, any chance Hooker plays in the last game of the season? I think there is some chance. Yeah, if we win Sunday, we win. Whatever happens against Dallas, and then the last game of the regular season really has no impact on playoff seeding or for the division or whatever. Then is there a chance? Sure. Would it probably be the second half? Maybe he gets the third and fourth quarter, or maybe just the fourth quarter. Yes, something like that I think would be a potential. All right, Tori, what do you got? I think the offensive line has shown how important they are to the life of this team. Due to that, we must resign Jonah Jackson. I would say that there is a growing argument for that, definitely. You see the difference in the offense and Goff when the starting offensive line is out there versus when some of the backups are out there the majority of the time. Could you argue that having them out there allows for more deep shots down the field? There's definitely a symbiotic relationship between both sides of that, because when the Lions do have some of the backups in there, it's no disrespect for them. Those guys are backups for a reason, and other teams are getting more pressure on Goff a lot faster, which declines the amount of time he has. So yes, to your point about deep shots and such, there's definitely some truth to that. Will they be able to re-sign Jonah Jackson? Man, that's going to be a wait and see thing. But with some of the players that are probably going to be moving off of this season, that will free up some cap. So I think there is a growing argument to be made for re-signing Jonah Jackson. All right, Dr. Detroit, man, for the first time in 52 years, I have not thought about the draft. I can't even tell you who the best picks are. Very weird feeling. I was so excited for the draft in Detroit, but now, because right now all focus, to your point, Dr. D, all focus is on this team right here and now and where we may go with things. So I get it, man. It's a brand new world for the Lions. I got a feeling we're going to be saying that a lot in the upcoming weeks. All right, Southwest, we got Vikings had a good balance to attack on offense against Cincinnati. It'll be interesting to see what they can do to stop the run and minimize the impact of Jefferson, Addison, Hockenson. Yeah, it's going to be a matchup, worth watching, because like we talked about at the start of the show, I want to see how much both offensive and the defensive coordinators have grown up and matured this season. This is going to be a huge matchup. While, obviously Minnesota has some very good skill position players, how much their quarterback is going to be able to navigate things, it'll be a real test for them, because obviously Kirk Cousins isn't out there. These guys, this is a real opportunity for whoever the quarterback's going to be, and it looks like Mullins. But I will say this. These guys are playing for a reason. They're playing to stay alive, not only in the playoffs, but potentially the NFC North. So, yeah, this is going to be a game. It's going to be fun in my eyes. All right, Garland, what do you got? Greetings and salutations, everyone. Same to you. Hopefully you're having a good one. Michael, what do you got? I would think if we blow out the Vikings like we did the Broncos, that would give the Cowboys some doubt of winning the game. Yeah, the Cowboys, especially after what they did last week against the Bills, they're struggling a little bit. And if they come out this weekend and do anything similar like that against their game this weekend, then some doubt, some lack of confidence starts creeping in, and that would be, to your point, Michael, great for the Lions when we go down there to play. All right, Michael, what do you got? Howdy, Dan, the Lions faithful. Lions win 31-23. I'll take that. And good morning to you too, Michael. I hope you're having a good one. Southwest, what I like about this team is they're getting contributions not only from the high salary players, but also the players on first contracts. That's what you need to be successful. In today's NFL, 100%. You've got to be able to get guys out there that aren't premium prices, that are still helping, contributing, performing at a high level, and give Brad Holmes all the credit in the world. The core of this team, I mean, really the vast majority, I guess you'd say at this point, are his guys, the people he's drafted to bring in. And you know what? It's really hard to find players that haven't contributed at a good rate. You could say the first draft when Panay came in and Amon-Ra St. Brown, Aleem McNeil, and now you're seeing the emergence of Ife Melifonwu out there. That started a trend, and it's only continued, and you could even say gotten better over time with each following draft. So yeah, these guys contributing, and sooner or later these guys are going to get paid too. All right, Dr. D, what do you got for us? I hope we can play like we did against the Broncos. That was the best I have ever seen the squad. Yeah, complete game, right? Offense was moving, defense was playing, special teams, no mess ups there. It was as complete a game as we've probably seen, man, maybe in like 10 years or so. It's been a while. How about that? Detroit, let's go Saints. Tonight is the night we clinch. Who dat? Yeah, the Saints win tonight. The Rams, would take the big hit, and that would help, obviously, the Lions. The other part is, I know it'd be great for media, the Lions versus Rams, just for the whole Goff versus Stafford thing. But I'd also say this: it's not a matchup I really want us to see us in. I think there's some better matchups for us than that. But to your point, though, Detroit, Matt, I'm going to be rooting for the Saints all night long. All right, Southwest, Dr. D, that's the next step for Lions. Can they stack games like that, like they had against Denver? Yeah, if we can put back-to-back games or performances out there like that, that would be awesome. It would show real growth for the team. George, I think we will draft O-line in the first round. Thoughts? I think George, there's a definitely growing, I would say, thoughts for that. Just because you look at the team, you look at basically the players getting up on their contracts. Who do you have to replace or probably can't resign? And I would say there's some chatter. I would think we'd all say that Frank Ragnow might be closer to the end of his career than continuing with the team. I hope he still plays, a few more years, but there's at least probably some area of concern there. Taylor Decker starts falling into that conversation as well. Can you re-sign Jonah Jackson? Plus, you look at where, at least I'm projecting the team to be as far as value for their picks. And I do think where they're going to be picking later in the first round, there's more likelihood to get sound offensive linemen than there is probably most other positions out there that would fit the needs of the Detroit Lions. So I think you're onto something there, George, with that. And I think it will be a strong consideration for the team. Phil, greetings and salutations, Dan. Same to you, Phil. Another guitar of yours, huh? All right. You're doing good work there, man. And yeah, people are noticing that. I hope you're having a good morning, buddy. All right. Detroit, Dr. Detroit, guys, hit them likes early on. Yeah, I can't see on my screen what they're at, but if you guys could, if you go ahead and hit that like button, please. All right, Bruce, it would be great if the Saints win tonight. I know I'll be watching. Yeah, I think we're all going to be watching and cheering them on. And again, that's one of the best parts of having the team this relevant this late in the season is just stuff like tonight. A year or two ago, it would have no impact on Detroit fans. But right now, yeah, you can watch it. You're watching the game, you're rooting because you're rooting for how that impacts the Detroit Lions. And this is new territory for most of us. All right, Dr. D, 20 in 4 likes. Come on now. Yeah, go ahead and smash that like button. Help Dr. Detroit calm his nerves a little bit. Friends, liking now for you, Dr. Detroit. Well, that's nice of you, man. That'll help him out. Phil, we have just a few people spamming questions. Give someone else a chance. Yeah, go ahead, everybody. Just throw your questions on in there as always, man. I'll get to them. I'm powering through as quick as I can. Friends, any good evening to you all in the States. Well, good evening to you too, friends. I hope you're having a good one. Dr. Detroit with doing it just for you, man. All right, Eddie, what do you got? Greetings and salutations. Do for the crew. Yes, it's always a good morning when you have some time with the crew and some do. Detroit Matt from Southwest, we have a lot of help. I don't think it's happening tonight, although the Saints are getting Oakley back. Enclave, man, I always kill his name. Back tonight. We'll see. I do think the Saints could potentially win this game. The Rams, though, they've been playing pretty well for a little bit of time now. They're starting to come on, and while they may not have the deepest roster in the league, they do, as we all know, they do have some good skilled positions at different spots. And you know what? One could even argue they have some elite players. Phil, Andy, moving on, Honolulu Blue Crew. None that I've heard from. So if somebody has a knows the ear or whatever of a representative of the Pepsi Corporation or the Dew Corporation, as I like to call them, and they want to get in contact with me or someone else about setting up a Mountain Dew or Hallelujah Blue Dew, that would be awesome. And we can all share in that glory when that comes out. Thaddeus, Blitz all game Sunday. Yeah, I want to see that trend continue for sure, that the Lions are going to continue to be the more aggressive team on the field. If they can do that, I think we've really got something going on in the postseason. We've talked about it before on the show. I just don't think we have enough firepower to just play conservatively on defense. I think we have to, with the personnel we have, we've got to go after them. We've got to force the game and alter the game to our needs. Yes, you're going to get burned on some things. I think we all get that. But at the same time, you're also taking away a lot of things from an offense. So roll the dice, I say. Go after them. Michael, claps, all right. Claps to you, too. All right, Mile Marker, what do you got? Good morning. I did watch that C.J. Gardner-Johnson or Deuce Johnson interview. Powerful stuff, man. Great for locker room, infield. Yeah, the guy's just – it makes me wonder why he's gone through a few teams, because I look at him and I go, man, this is someone who's real rah-rah, real motivating, brings the team up a level or two, I guess you could say. He's got energy all about him, and I think it's infectious. So I hope we keep him. I hope we resign him, and I am real glad that we've got him back for the home stretch here. All right, Southwest, check out the interview with CD Deuce. It's so important having his energy, confidence. He really wants a division title for the fans. Yeah, I think he is illustrated, and he's talked about how he would cry, all that stuff. He'd become emotional about it. But make no mistake, these players are aware that this franchise hasn't done this in in a long time, in 30 years. They're also aware that some of the guys, like a Decker, like a Frank Ragnow, like a Jalen Reeves-Maven, have been through a lot of these growing opportunities with the team, and the players want to win it for themselves, but they want to win it from the city, but they also want to win it for some of these guys who have been through the mud and the down times of the Patricia era and all that stuff, the Bob Quinn era. So yeah, they've got a lot of reasons to play, and I'm just happy for all of them that they're here now. Hope they get it done Sunday. John, greetings and salutations from GR. What happened to Riley Patterson? I think what happens with him, or his downfall, while he's a very accurate kicker, usually he just does not have much for a leg. 45 yards and less, he's pretty sound. I mean, he's good. Other than, unfortunately, a few missed extra points in the recent weeks. That being said, he's not very accurate nor very reliable beyond 45 yards. You can give or take a yard or two, but I think you get the point. And I think ultimately that was his downfall. I think they were holding on to him until those missed extra points, and they were like, yeah, we just got to go in a different direction. Badgley, who we know we're keeping now, he's got a history with this franchise. He's got a history with this administration, and obviously a level of trust, right? Because they wouldn't be getting rid of Riley Patterson unless they believed Badgley would be doing a better job. So I think that's what it all came down to. All right, Brett, what do you got? Good morning, Coach and Dew Crew. Blitz, and blitz some more. Keep the QB rattled. I like your ideas, man, because we've been preaching it for, it seems like, the entire season. When you're passive, this defense is pretty easy to pick apart. When you're aggressive, when we were at Green Bay, the first time we played them this year, aggressive, assertive, went after them. There were parts against the Kansas City Chiefs, same thing. We went after them. But other games where we just sit back in that soft zone, we get picked apart. So that's why I'm sure like most of you guys, so happy to see the team come on out and just go Blitzburg all over Denver. Let's hope that continues, because I think that is our best recipe for success on the defensive side. Michael, loved the CD Deuce interview, and yes, his energy. Yeah, he's exactly what I would want in a player. Somebody who's going to wear it on his sleeves, put it out there every day in practice. You don't have to motivate them. You don't have to come up with the rah-rah speech every day just to get them to perform at a high level. When you do come up with those speeches, hey, it just takes them to a whole nother level. So I really do hope they re-sign this kid. Alec, what do you got there? Good morning, coach. Blitz the heck out of Mullins. Yeah, I think that's, I think I'm with you there. And I think that's the majority of the people in the chat here today. We want to see Mullins on his butt, and we want to see the assertiveness of Aaron Glenn, the confidence of Aaron Glenn to say, it's okay if we get beat once in a while. We're still coming at you, and you're not going to know where it's coming from all game long. T Chair, what do you got? Greens and salutations, Coach Dan. I feel like we can't take the Vikings lightly. I would agree with that. CJ being back will help for sure, but I see a big Jamar Jay Gibbs and Monty game. Happy do thirsty. Cheers. Thank you for all the above, and I agree. I think Gibbs, to me, while Monty and Gibbs are both great backs, Gibbs has emerged, especially in the last, say, 6 or 7 weeks, into the premier back for the Detroit Lions. Both of them are going to get their carries. Both of them are going to get the reps. It's just Gibbs is a game changer. He is elite in my mind. He's probably the best back we've had since, I hate saying it, but Barry Sanders. He can just change a game with one run. And yes, they're not all going to be home runs. He's not going to average 10 yards a carry every game. But man, the fact that you've got to account for that kid every time he's on the field, because if you don't, he could make a house call. That puts a ton of pressure on the opposing D and D coordinator. So I'm with you. I think, big games for both of them would be nice. Mile, what do you got? CJ Deuce is the dude fired up. Yeah, and he fires up a team. I love him to death. Phil, Tesla good in the snow? It is, man. I have not had any problems with it. This is what, the 2nd December I've had it in the snow, and yeah, I got no complaints with it, man. It does well. All right, Southwest Brent, I'm all for blitzing. Just vary who blitzes and don't become predictable. Yeah, you can't have it come from the same spot all the time. Otherwise, it's no different than a normal rush. The real key, in my opinion, for a blitz is when it comes from an unexpected moment, from an unexpected spot. That's when you catch people off guard and napping. Kim, what do you got? How big would a Lions-Rams matchup be if they happen to meet in the playoffs? I think it'll be huge, especially, media will go to town with it. Man, the anxiety of probably Stafford and Goff would be through the roof. But I also say this, I think that's probably where it would end, because really the rest of the Rams have no tie to Detroit per se, and vice versa, really, other than, Josh Reynolds. Who else would it really impact? I know the coaches coached in for Sean McVay and the Rams. So it'd come down to those two people. With that being said, though, those are two huge key people for the game, because both quarterbacks would have probably some mixed emotions in that game. And you get somebody maybe making a mistake or two early. If they get rattled, boy, that could really spiral out of control for that particular team. But it would be a headline-making game for sure. All right, Dale, good morning, Duke crew. Hopefully CJ Gardner-Johnson gets his legs back ASAP. Yeah, my guess is you're probably going to see him out there against the Cowboys, and then obviously the Vikings in the final game of the regular season. Kim, the NFL would love to have a Southwest Lion. Kim, the Lions, the NFL would love to have a Lions-Rams matchup. Yeah, I'm sure they would. And again, just for the ratings, just for the headlines, etc., the clickbait, if you want to call it that. Dennis, good morning, fam. Good morning to you too. Hopefully I'm going to do one. Phil, do not overlook the Vikings. Their defense is the team strength. Yeah, I agree with you, Phil. They can go out there. They can get pressure on a quarterback. They can make life very uncomfortable for most NFL teams. So agreed with you. All right, Southwest. Phil, I don't think the Lions are overlooking the Vikings at all. Hopefully they can play with the same level of confidence they did had against Denver. Yeah, and that would be key. You want to keep that confidence growing. We just came off a month where, hey, we didn't play the greatest. The Denver game's nice. It's a bounce back game. But to your point, Southwest, you want to continue that. You want to continue uphill the confidence and get them ready for the postseason. Lion King, we need at least 2 because Seattle is hunting 6th seed and would roll into forward. Yeah, you want to keep, I guess there's 2 ways to look at it. If we play the more aggressive style against the Seahawks, maybe they're not a bad matchup, but at the same time, they beat us 2 times in a row that I can readily think of off the top of my head. I'd probably rather us play someone else, to your point, Lion King. So yeah, see what happens. There's a lot that's going to change these next final weeks of the regular season before the playoffs, but they're probably, to your point, not the most ideal matchup for the Lions. All right, Southwest Lions need tunnel vision. Don't worry about what other teams do or don't do. They just need to take care of business. Yeah, focus on you, what you can control. Win each game in front of you. Go with whatever the end results are. Dale, Vikings defense is good, just needs to be smart with the game planning. Yeah, need to account for what they do, what their strengths are, prey on their weaknesses. Brent agreed. Southwest, I hope AG alternates who they send after the quarterback. Yeah, he would not going to say the AG is the greatest defensive coordinator in the world, but he would have to be pretty inexperienced to not say, hey, we're just going to blitz from the same spot every time. They're going to mix and match and move things around. Obviously, people are going to be paying more attention to Iffy for a game or two. So my guess is you would probably use him more as a decoy at this point on spying, or excuse me, blitzing on the quarterback. But who knows? We'll see what Aaron Glenn comes up with. And again, I want to see how much him and Ben Johnson have grown and matured going into the playoffs. Southwest Dale, the Vikings trying to make the quarterback get rid of the ball fast to cover up the deficiencies in the secondary. Yeah, and that's really the purpose of anybody who's blitzing is to get to the quarterback, A, rattle them, B, and then C, don't leave your guys out on the island forever, because if you're going to blitz, they're not going to have a lot of help out there. So you want to make their routes that they can give up as predictable as possible. Phil, Southwest, are you a part of the team? Question mark. No team intentionally overlooks any team, but division games can sneak up on a team. Bears, Green Bay are examples. Yes, yeah. Division teams, they just, because of familiarity, they're going to know what your tendencies are just a whole lot better because they know they're going to play you twice. The one thing going for us is this is the first game both teams have played against each other this year. The downside of that can also be that you're going to catch people off guard with things. So you're going to pull out some trick plays. This is probably the game to do it. The last game of the regular season, both teams are going to know each other exponentially better come that game. Southwest, Phil, in the NFC North, it's going to be a very strong division next year. Yeah. And we all thought, man, there could be a 10-year window for the Lions to, run rampant over it. And that could happen. But you look at what the Bears potentially are looking towards. Man, I know I've been debating when I've done my mock drafts, do you have the Bears trade down to the first pick and maybe get 2 or 3 additional first picks for it? They've set themselves up where they could, if they hit on the picks, be pretty relevant for a while. The Vikings, I think they're pretty decent as well. What they're going to do at the quarterback position is probably their big question mark. Green Bay, they draft well, they develop well, and they have for eons. The real question is going to be Jordan Love. Does he keep maturing upwards or has he plateaued? And that's what we'll have to wait and see out of him, because the last couple of games have not been his greatest. He hasn't been horrible by any means, but at least you want to see going into the offseason that, if I'm Green Bay at least, that he's continuing to rise. All right, Miles, what do you got? Great to see new names in the chat stream. One Pride. Yeah, the morning show, I'll say this to you guys, and I know I've said it before. I never thought this thing would take off anywhere near this level. I started the channel a little over a year ago, about 14 months ago. Just kind of did it for fun because I enjoy this kind of stuff. And then when I started to do the morning show, that's when things really took off. And I don't even remember how long it's been now, maybe 4 months for the morning show. But I guess there's a whole lot more people that get up in the morning and want to watch Detroit Lions talk stuff than I would have anticipated. So thank you all for being a part of it. Phil, glad you can see the future. Yeah, well, sometimes. All right, Southwest Dan, do you think the Vikings will re-sign Cousins? Imagine where they would be if Cousins had not got hurt. I think there's if I'm the Minnesota Vikings general manager and front office, here's where I got to go with that decision. Where are we as a team? Do we think we're relevant for the next 2 to 3 years? Because really, if you're going to resign Cousins, that's probably the amount of time you're putting on that contract, maybe even a little bit more. Or do I go after somebody else? Cousins got tons of years left in him. I don't think he's ready to decline just yet, but I think that's ultimately going to be the point. Are we pushing for this division and the playoffs for the foreseeable future? They've had Cousins for a number of years now. Unfortunately, for a multitude of reasons, they have not gone very far in the playoffs. Um, I'm probably, if it was me, I'm probably looking to go in a different direction at this point because we've seen where we go with him. And on Cousins, he's one of those guys, like most NFL quarterbacks, you got to really have a lot of the right things around him in order to go forward. They're going to have some younger players they're going to have to sign. So these all come into play. Doesn't mean they won't resign them, but if I'm the general manager, I probably am at this point looking to go in a different direction. All right, Brent. After seeing the player interviews, it feels like Dan Campbell has his guys locked in and focused on winning the North and not worried about the playoffs. Yeah, I get what you're saying there, Brent. One thing at a time. And I agree with you that they're probably trying to look at going to get the North first and then mature into the playoff spot. So you got to get the North in order to get the home playoff game. And if you can get the North, potentially you can even get up to the number 2 seed. I get there's still some scenarios to get the number 1 seed, but I'm going to say this. My focus would probably be on the number 2 seed unless San Francisco this weekend lays an egg and then does it in the second weekend. Then obviously you really got a shot at the number 1 seed going into the final week. Southwest Brent agreed. More than once, Dan Campbell has mentioned the goal is winning the division. Yeah, and they want to do that. They want to make sure they're sorry, I got a notification. Getting that home playoff game. And let's also be fair, like we've talked about in the show, the Lions haven't done this in 30 years. This is a real badge of honor for them to get that because it's just something to show and continue to show that these are the brand new Lions, not the same old Lions. Motown Mitch, what do you got? Do you know what would be great if the Lions, if JMO keeps rolling and finally has his breakout game? Yeah, the trend is your friend, as I often say. And you know what? This kid keeps getting better. He keeps demonstrating more and more. I think eventually it's going to happen where you're just going to have that big game that gets everybody talking. And it may happen sooner versus later. Dr. Detroit, I thought the kid broke out last week. Yeah, he had a pretty good game and definitely I think his best game as a pro. And I just don't see that changing just because you look at the Lions offense. You've got so many guys that are premium players. And I'm not going to say they're all elite or anything, but the Lions can put out a ton of guys on offense that you've got to go out and respect. You've got to go out and guard. You got your number 1 quarter. Let's say you play man. Who are you putting him on? Your number 1 defensive player. Are you putting him on Jameson Williams and put him on St. Brown? Do you put him on Laporta? And then, obviously from there, if your number 1 corner is on one of them, who's your number 2 and 3 picking up? Now you add in someone like, Gibbs, he's a matchup problem. I get he might not be the X player and everything they talked about when he was drafted, but you know what he is? He's a problem. He's a matchup nightmare. And again, at some point, as long as you can protect Goff, one of those guys is getting open because very few teams have enough guys, quality defensive backs who can guard all of them, and they're all pretty dang good. Nathan, Morning Dew crew. With a win Sunday, we clinch the division, correct? That is correct. Yes, we win, and it's ours. Nobody can take it. Brent, do you know anything about the new defensive line they brought in? Yeah, I do. I heard he was Canadian Football League Defensive Player of the Year. He was. So here's what I can tell you about him. I wasn't impressed with him. I get he puts up some numbers. I watched some film, watched his mechanics. I would say this. He's more athletic than the majority of offensive linemen or the tackles that he's facing. So at least in the video breakdowns I did on him, he's just being more athletic. He's just going around people. So that means the people that are trying to block him just aren't able to keep up with him. I didn't see much as far as his use of hands. I mean, I think there was one particular play I broke down where the offensive lineman came out, he just slapped him down, went around him. I mean, that's, to me at least, that's watching the high school senior try to get blocked by the 7th grade tackle on, a JV team or you get the point, a middle school team. I watched probably about 15 minutes of, just pass rushes of him. And I'm not saying he's not athletic. I want to be clear on that. I'm just saying he stands up way too much upright. He doesn't have much bend or dip in his shoulders or his ankles. His use of hands when it comes to shedding off offensive linemen, I would say it's moderate at best. So while he does have the athleticism, the rest of the stuff, I would say he's a developmental player. Now, I'm going to say all that to you guys. He's going to get signed, and probably against the Cowboys, he's going to get 50 sacks in the first quarter, right? Everybody's going like, Coach Dan's a bum. It would be justifiable. But as far as what I'm seeing, unless I just didn't see enough, I would say this. If I was sent out to scout him, I probably would have been in and out of there in 15 to 20 minutes because I just didn't see enough. So it's no disrespect for this gentleman. That's just what my eyes see. And to me, as just a pure pass rusher, you start off with the bat. If you can't bend, if you can't dip, so if you can't bend your ankles to get into some awkward angles to get around a proper offensive tackle, that's a problem. If you can't bend to get below with dipping your shoulders and stuff, that's a major problem. If you can't do both, you probably have no business being in the NFL. So hope I'm wrong on him. Hope he's great, but that's at least what I saw. All right, Motown. Well, I would say a breakout game would be 100-plus yards and at least 2 TDs. Let's hope he does that this Sunday. And I'm assuming you're talking about Jameson Williams. All right, Dr. Detroit. Yeah, I am cool with distributing the ball around. Yeah, and it makes it just that much harder to defend this offense because you can only take away so many weapons. You can only double so many people. And with 11 guys on the field, I'm guessing the Vikings are sending 5 after the quarterback on most downs. That means you got 6 in coverage. Who's getting doubled and who's getting single coverage? And I think that's where the problem becomes because we just listed real quickly 3 to 4 Lions that are probably an issue for most teams to defend. And there's no way you're doubling all of them. All right, Don, what do you got? No disrespect, but man, we have the best we have to beat Nick Mullins. Yes, we do. I would agree. If he pulls a Matt Flynn on us twice in the last 3 games, that's not going to be a good time for Detroit Lions fans. Dr. Detroit, I have to say Goff was able to confuse Denver by using all of his weapons. They didn't know who to cover. Yeah, my point exactly. If you got to defend everybody because you know they're all viable threats, it's almost impossible for any NFL defense to do that. But as long as you protect the quarterback, yeah, that becomes a huge problem. Matthew, go Saints. All I need to see is growth, no disrespect, no digressing, excuse me. So keep the good games rolling. Yeah, keep the things going. We all want to see what happened against Denver become the rule of thumb, not the asterisk or exception too. So yeah, no digressing, no moving backwards. Keep everything going forward, especially going into the playoffs. Southwest, give Goff enough time. He is a top 5 to 10 NFL quarterback. He's proven that many times, especially against the Broncos. Yeah, he lit them up. He put the NFL on notice. You know what we can say in those games where he kind of struggled, the pressure was getting to him right away. Yes, Ragnar was out. Yes, Jonah Jackson was out for some of those games, and because of that, those teams took advantage of it and got after Goff quickly, got him rattled. And like we've often talked about, that's why I'm a big fan of blitzing and getting after the other team's quarterback, because if you can rattle them, man, that offense just becomes a whole lot less effective. Nathan, only 33 likes. Let's get them to 50. That's almost half of us. Yeah, I can't see the likes. I'm relying on you guys to pass on that information. But if you haven't yet subscribed to Lions Talk Live, please consider doing so. And if you are enjoying the content, hit that thumbs up button. Don, I want to see a pick from the secondary, preferably pick 6. Yes. Don, who would you want to get it, or don't you care? I would like to say, hey, give it to Iffy. If I got to pick someone, give it to Iffy. Keep the Iffy bandwagon going. Iffy, wouldn't that be nice? Don, when Goff starts getting all the praise, it scares me. He plays better when y'all are downing him and dissing him. There might be some truth to that, Don. But I think a lot of his downward play came from when some of the offensive line was out. And to be fair, also Decker was struggling with back injuries or concerns. So, yeah, when they all went down or weren't playing at a peak performance, then, pressure on Goff got a whole lot worse. Anthony, any idea? Penei Sewell injury? I don't think it's anything major, but we'll probably get a better update later today on that. Dr. Trey, when Goff plays well, he gets praise, and when he doesn't, and many times hasn't, he gets roasted. Welcome to the NFL as quarterback. Yeah, you're out there. You're gonna get a lot of the thumbs up when you're doing well, and yeah, you're gonna get a lot of fingers when when you're not doing so well. And you guys probably get that reference. Dennis, you think the Lions will draft Blake Courtney? It's possible for sure. I'll save all that stuff for Saturday. That's when I'm going to put out the first mock draft for Lions Talk Live. I know I was going to try to get it out this week, but with coaching stuff, then YouTube as well, and my actual job, just haven't had time. So I apologize about that, but I figured it'd be a nice thing to put out for you guys Saturday when it's a little bit slower for most of us as the holidays start hitting. All right, Uncle. A great O-line. We'll get that Giants QB Hall of Fame consideration. His name may get him in. I see what you're talking about. Yeah, Manning. Yeah. There's a level of truth there. He wasn't terrible, but is he Hall of Fame? I guess the best part that got will get Eli into the Hall of Fame is the fact that he won 2 Super Bowls, and both those Super Bowls were against the Patriots and Tom Brady. Motown, CJ comes back. Do you think we still see Iffy? Yes, I think they're going to probably, if it was me, I would be working on a package to get the best coverage people out there. I can't really call them corners and safeties anymore because a lot of safeties now play corner and vice versa. So to me, yeah, I'd probably see Iffy out there along with CJ at the same time. Kirby's going to be out there. Sutton's going to be out there. And then, one of the other guys, maybe Vildor out there. We got Don. Can't see Panay missing this game. Would have to lock him up literally before he misses this game. Yeah, I don't think he's going to be out. But, unless it's a lot more of an injury than any of us are anticipating. Silver, what do you got? Good morning, Coach. Could you explain me why the Vikings defensive system is considered unique? At least that is what Goff said. Thanks. To me, it's more of a throwback to an 80s style defense. So I go back to like the Oakland Raiders, 85 Bears. It's very reminiscent of that. So let's start with what that means. You're overloading the line of scrimmage with multiple dudes, about usually 6 to 7 guys. You're putting them in a line formation and just making it a lot more difficult for offensive linemen to determine who's coming and who's not coming on any particular play. It also makes it more of a guessing game, I guess you could say, to the quarterback. So it's good for the Lions that you do have an experienced quarterback. And it really, at this point, we can all say you can like Goff or you hate him, but he's been around for a while. He's seen a lot of different things. So now what the Minnesota Vikings are going to try to do is they're going to try to force that offensive line and the quarterback to always have to more or less guess where's the blitz coming and where are we dropping. We're not always sending 7 guys because they're only going to send 7 dudes on rare situations. But 5 or 6 are probably coming after the quarterback on a lot of different snaps. I'll say 70% of snaps, you're going to see that happen. So now you're going to mess with the blocking assignments. Who's going where, who's sliding to help, and where do we have to, gap maintain? Because of that, that's why you see so many mess ups and mistakes by younger, less experienced quarterbacks when they're trying to alter the blocking assignments at the line or the pre-snap calls. And that's what makes it a little bit more unique. It's a throwback to where this used to happen a lot more. And the counter to it back in the 80s was somebody would leave in for just blocking assignments, a tight end or 2, or maybe, I know Southwest will love this, 2 running backs, because you'd split them out behind the quarterback, and now they're going to be the ones responsible for any A or B gap fills. So something between the tackle and the guard, somebody doesn't pick up a blitzer there, the running back's going to have to pick them up. So I don't think we'll probably use 2 running backs to block, but it could happen because, like I said, you're going back to something that happened a lot in the 80s, and that was one of the easier ways to account for it. Dennis, yeah, I got you there, man. Gary, anyone watch tape on the edge guy they brought in from Canada? Kid plays extremely violent, would give pass rush a boost. I did, and I know I did my breakdown on him at the start of this. I think he's got athleticism for sure. And to your point, he plays with some energy. I just think watching his techniques and such and his flexibility or lack thereof, that's where I would have some real concerns with him. There's a lot of things as a coach you can coach him up on, but God-given stuff like the ability to bend, that's where I think get in trouble with him. with that all that being said, if you weren't going to have him just as an end, if you were going to play him almost like a linebacker and stand him up like we talked about with Hutch, he'd be more effective there. But it's still, you get hands on you by a proficient NFL tackle. That's where I think his lack of ability to dip is going to come into play more and more. Bets, yeah, I knew we were going with that. Yeah. Scott, good morning. MCDT and Team Lions. The Bengals proved last week that if you get in Mullen's kitchen, he does some crazy things. Our D gets on him, and he eliminate their skill guys with his panic. Go Lions. Yeah, you're spot on with that, Scott. The best way to take those skill position players out of the mix is don't let that ball get in the air. So yeah, get after them. Brent, do you think Brad will finally draft a kicker and stop the revolving door at the position? Funny you should say that, because yeah, I guess I'll give one spoiler for this weekend's mock draft 1.0 is that yeah, I do have us taking a kicker. Oh boy, I want to say it was the 6th round. I want to say it was the Alabama kicker, just so if you want, but I'll leave the rest for Saturday's mock draft 1.0. Ryan, is the CD Deuce interview on YouTube? I'm sure you can find it there, or just look it up online. I know if you do Detroit Lions news and search, you'll probably find it that way on Google or on YouTube. And Gary, I meant to say Canadian League. Yeah, I knew where you're at with that, man. Ed, good morning, Coach. I'm on Lake George fishing and listening to another great show. Hit that share button, everybody, and go Lions. Go. Well, hopefully you're having a good day fishing, man, and hopefully you're catching something. And good morning to you too, Ed, by the way. Silver Surfer, sure they are not looking to play J Dobbs, going to play J Dobbs. They announced Mullins, was it Tuesday? I think they announced that he was the starter. Dobbs could be the starter maybe the second time we play him, or who knows, if Mullins is just really struggling, they might, throw the hook on him and put in Dobbs. But I want to say they moved Dobbs to the number 3 spot on their depth chart. Don't hold me to that because I haven't paid a ton of attention. All right, Don, South Carolina wide receiver Xavier Letts is my draft crush. Debo, DK, Metcalf dude is going to be a greatest all time. Dang problem. I expect the chat crowd to steal the name after they read this. It could be. Where would you see them drafting him though? That would be my question, because with all the people we have at receiver, I would assume it would be a little bit later in the draft, not so much in the 1st or 2nd round. But you let me know, Donnie. Go with your thoughts, man. Brent, I hope we keep incorporating J-Mo into the short passing game. I bet we will. His routes look so much better now. He can take it to the house every time he gets the ball. Yeah, 100%. We were like, I know we talked about a couple weeks ago. I was surprised they weren't using him on more crossing patterns or in patterns and such. That changed all last week. So clearly, when we would go back to the start of the year and MCDC, Ben Johnson, Goff, I'll say, you got to have trust. You got to, have all the trust in him to do the right things. I'm going to say this. The kid has never quit. He's worked his tail off. He's gotten better. We talk about his mechanics on getting in and out of routes, his footwork, his understanding of the offense. I mean, the kid's come through, and he's probably, I would think, quieted most of his detractors and doubters. And he seems to be growing and maturing. I don't know if he'll ever be like elite, but he's trending towards being a pretty dang good NFL receiver. And I'm with you, Brent. I think they're going to continue to add him into the offense more and more. Southwest, when Cincinnati tried to throw the quick pass in the flat multiple times, the Vikings batted it down. The Bears tried it multiple times and got very little out of it. Yeah, going back to the last Bears game against the Vikings, the Vikings were all over those wide receiver screens and stuff. It's almost like the Bears were only trying to throw those routes. Cincinnati, to your point, yeah, a lot of the same stuff. I got to imagine you've got enough film on that Ben Johnson should be aware of that and is trying something different. I would like to see a lot of crossing patterns with Jameson, St. Brown, Laporta, just because, again, I think somebody's getting open against it as long as you can block. Dennis, no way. No, we want Seattle get revenge. Okay, I'm down with that. The revenge tour can start with us hosting Seattle. I'm okay with that. One funky Don, my crush is oh boy, Latu. And I apologize if I murder that name. It won't be the last time I murder a name. Southwest Mullins is not the most mobile quarterback. I would agree. I think if they use Iffy less on blitzing, they're going to need him in pass coverage. Yeah, if he's not going after the quarterback, he'll be out there covering 100%. Eduardo, Bears, Packers, and Lions are the second, third, and fourth youngest teams, respectively. This division will be a dogfight in the upcoming years. Agreed. I keep seeing wide open Bengals last week. We'll have opportunities. Yeah, if Goff gets time, there are going to be shots available, and he's just got to connect on them. Minnesota struggles against tight ends. Another big day for Laporta. Yeah, I would agree with that. I know I don't try to pay attention to ratings, but I try to pay attention to film. And I only watched a couple of different tapes on them. But a couple of the teams I did watch, yeah, the tight ends do cause them problems because they don't have the personnel in their safety position or their linebacker position to cover very well. Their safeties seem better, in my opinion, in zone coverage. And Laporta is going to be a problem for anybody that plays zone on him because he's just a tough physical matchup for him. I mean, let's be fair. He's been a matchup problem for everybody since he's come into the NFL. So no disrespect to anybody. He's just performing very well. And I don't anticipate that will change come the next two games against Minnesota. Devin, Duke Crew, morning. Hopefully you're having a good morning to everyone and you as well. Don, one funky Ladu is damn good, probably a top 10 pick. Yeah, I would agree with that. Lincoln, what do you got? Another Denver performance, and I think Goff is back in MVP talk. Yeah, that's a great point right there, man. If he does anything like he did against Denver this upcoming week and then another week going into the end of the regular season, yeah, his name will pop up there. I don't know if he'll get it, but he'll at least be in the conversation. All right, a couple more here. Then, like I said, I got to cut off just a little early today. Mark, morning from north of Toronto. Detroit plays first Sunday. They win. They put all the pressure on Dallas at 4, and then Philly and San Fran on Monday. That's a good point. Man, like I said, that's the best part about this season is that we have something to root for, with every game. Even when Detroit isn't playing, you have a reason to watch these other games and root for something that favors the Lions. And it's rare air for Lions fans, and I'm just glad that it's here for us. Eduardo, all I'm saying is that Mixon was gashing Minnesota. They just kept attacking the passing game. Yeah, and I think we'll come out trying to impose our will on the ground against them. But I would like to say that with one caveat, that I hope on first down it's play action almost across the board for us, because I think that's the best time to run play action. I really am not a fan of just trying to go every first down. We're going to run it at you, run it at you. Be as unpredictable as possible. All right, Don, I love Laporta, but man, James Mitchell deserves a few balls thrown his way. So it's yeah. And Mitchell, when they first drafted Laporta, I was kind of surprised just because I saw a lot of promise out of James Mitchell. He still needed some development, but man, he's got the athleticism. That being said, Laporta they knew what they were doing clearly with these first couple picks, and they hit home runs with them. CJ, thank you for everything you do, sir. You are an amazing content creator, and I enjoy your show every morning. Thank you again. Hey, no problem, man. I enjoy being here with everybody. I very much enjoy this being a conversation between everybody who's involved in the Lions. And I'm real thankful that you guys are all part of this, because you know what? This has grown on me. And I enjoy I wake up at 5 a.m. getting ready for today's or everyday's show. So thank you all for joining in. All right, Devin, what do you got? My son had surgery at 7 a.m. tomorrow morning. Bless up for my son. Hey, 1,000 blessings onto your son. Hopefully it all goes well. Hopefully it's nothing too serious. And, hopefully it just goes super easy peasy for him. So give a big blessing to your son from me, and hopefully everybody in the crew on Lions Talk Live. So let us know how it goes, man. Eduardo, Minnesota on most first and third downs sends 6-man blitzes. Yeah, people will be in single coverage. And that's where I'm going at with the crossing patterns, because they're going to bring them. As long as you can block for, we'll say, 2 seconds, you're going to have one of your premium players in the open against man-to-man coverage, probably pulling away with no help. And if you can hit on that, those plays have real strong possibilities, if not to go for a house call, for big yardage. Yeah, I agree with you, Phil. Prayers for your son, Devin. And Devin, you need anything from me or the Duke crew, you let us know, man. Southwest, I wouldn't be surprised to see Mitchell, Brock Wright have an impact at some point. Wright had a huge touchdown against the Jets. Good call last year, and one against the Chargers this season. He did. Good points on that. Devin, thanks, brother, and thanks for you for being a part of it. And again, blessings on your son. Eduardo, I like how Ben Johnson scripted plays for JMO in the first drive. Need more of that. Yeah, get him involved right off the bat. I'm with you on that. Phil, yeah, Hearts, yeah, agreed. Mile Marker Ragnow is everything to that line. We see what happens when he's out. Yeah, when him and Jonah Jackson are out, we are vastly different on that offensive line. I'm all right. I can't read that. I'm assuming that's Arabic, but I'm not 100% sure. So, John, they blitz a lot. They do. Gian, yeah, they do blitz a ton, and they're going to come after us. Make no mistake. A couple more here, and it's due 30 for me. Gary, how about this, coach? Since Raiders in such a shambles, give them a call about Max Crosby. I'd be all for it. Like I said, even at this year's trade deadline. Now, what's it going to take to get him, though? I think that becomes the question, because your first rounders, basically going to be a high level second rounder. Do you have to give up that and a second rounder to get him? Yeah, I don't know about that. So we'll see. But I would like the idea of acquiring him. Devin, yeah, prayers, yeah. The one funky agreed, man. All right, Justin, Don Brewer, we won't get Leggett, even though he is a beast. They will go O-line, D-line, or cornerback with the top 2 to 3 picks. That's the time he'll be gone, I'm sure. Yeah, I agree with that. Brent, prayers, Devin. Hope all goes well. Same thing. It could have been Russian. Yeah, I'm not sure. Yeah, you might be more right about that. Anyways, Michael, praying for your son. Yes, Devin. Prayers from everybody here in Lions Talk Live, clearly, in the Duke crew for your son. With that being said, it's due 30 time for me. Game day here as well. So I got to go out, get the due, get work done out of the way, and then get ready for the game today. So if there is some breaking news today, and if I can get on the mic, I will, but I'm not anticipating any today. You never know, though. That's why it's breaking news. If you haven't yet subscribed to Lions Talk Live, please consider doing so. I think we need about 70 more subs to hit the magical 4,900, and then the march is on to 5,000. So take care. Enjoy your days. Hit that thumbs up button, and we'll see you all on the next Lions Talk Live. Take care, everybody.